Okay. Right, hello, Brian. It's just for the chronologist amongst you. Tuesday, 23rd of January, and it's the first interview of 2018. So we're still alive and kicking, and here we go with our latest interviewee, Brian Mulhearn. Brian, I'll tell you about making bagpipes and his titles and all the rest of it, about his business, and if we've got time I might just actually take a wee turn round his business at the back of the house, wherever, and also talk about other things. But I've got a kind of varied piping career, and we're going to talk about South Africa somewhere in this conversation. But in the meantime, I think we'll just go back to the beginning. As usual, Brian, when did you start playing pipes? Where did you learn, and this, that and the next thing? Kick that one off.
Right. When I was about 9, my father says to me, do you want to play the pipes? Because my father was a bit of a fan of the pipes. He never played pipes. There was no real pipers in the family, but he liked it. He was in the Cameroonians during the war, and he liked the pipes. So when I said, I thought I'd go with that, because at that stage there was a guy that he knew was going to give me lessons. So he started me off just in the chanter for about 6 months, 9 months, and you know the usual story. In those days it was very much the Logan's way of learning. You learn
Whereabouts was this, Brian?
Troon, yeah.
In Troon, aye, right, aye.
And he used to come to the house every week, Jim McNiven. I haven't seen him since then, to be honest with you. And then he was going away somewhere, so they decided what we were going to do with Mulhearn. They said, take him down to the air pipe band. That was the kind of nearest competing band at the time. There was 2 bands in Troon. There was the Troon pipe band, and there was also the Brassy Works band, which was a railway. There's a railway works here with the Brassy Works, so they had a band.
Were they any good?
They were kind of social band. Practice once a fortnight. And
just what we've been talking about off camera, you know.
They were a social band. They're a good bunch of lads, you know, local lads.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them used to turn up to band practice with a kilt and all, you know.
Oh, that's nice.
That was quite good.
Aye.
And we used to practice in the canteen at the railway works. And I was the weakest, so I had to play underneath the menu.
Mm-hmm.
But that was all. I just went along there every week, fortnight for a blow.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, as I said, my father took me down to the air pipe band, and I was taught by Bob McCroskey, who was the pipe major at the time.
Right.
The air band at that time was a grade 2 band. They had been grade 1 and they'd been demoted to grade 2. And I mean, as a boy, you don't know anything about grades. You just learn the trade. So Bob taught me for some years, and
was he a good teacher?
Bob was a very patient wee man. The most of your viewers will maybe only know him as he was a judge, an RSPBA judge for many years.
But was he quite correct? Was it a stickler for
lovely wee man.
Aye.
But to be fair, there was a lot of things I didn't get.
Aye, that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, how was he for the
technicalities?
Doublins and technical.
To be fair, he wasn't the best for that, but he was good in the music. And I'll give him his due. When I was about 14 or 15, he says, we'll need to send you up to our Archie. And Archie McCroskey had been a solo player in his day, before and after the war. Mm-hmm. That was his brother. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you the story. I went to Archie. Maybe this time I'm 15, I've got prizes in the junior competitions and various things.
Good.
And I wanted to go and learn the cowl gather. So he sends me up to see Archie. But this time Archie was very bad, his chest was very bad, minors. And so we get along the cowl gather.
Good tune, by the way.
Love the tune.
Aye.
There's a D throw in there, right?
Aye.
Now it's written in the music as a grip D throw.
Aye.
And I didn't play a grip D throw. So Archie showed me what a grip D throw was.
Aye.
Right, son, come back next week. That was the lesson by.
Aye.
And the payment for the lesson was 20 caps and full threads. You can hardly draw a blade at the best of times. 20 caps and full.
They wouldn't be £10 a packet then.
No. So at that time, and then I would go away home and practice my D throw. And then the next week, I mean, I had to get a bus from here, the Troon, into Ayr, get another bus out for Ayr, out to Whitlets in Ayr, and then walk to Arches. So it seems to the next week, I got there, oh, the Kilgar, no, wait a minute, son, wait a minute, that D-throw's no right yet. So we go through the D-throw bit again, and then we finish the part right, the D-throw. And then, that'll do, son, get that D-throw right. So the next week I come back again, and I got it right, you see. Aye, very good, Sam. So we finished the whole tune, and then Arch took no well. So I never got a lesson for about 6 months after that.
Jeez, oh.
And then we moved on. So that was the story of the D-throw.
It's funny that, you know, I was just talking to somebody the other day there about D-throws. In fact, one of the boys I teach, and he was coming away with this heavy D-throw, you know, in the Peaver.
Yeah.
And I told him a story about Seamus McNeill, who's very, they called your pipe very strict about his heavy D-throw, the grip D-throws you got, you know. And I also told him about a conversation I had with Willie McCallum quite recently, you know, in the last year about this. So that was a Glasgow D-throw sort of thing, you know. We used to laugh at that down at Campbellton because we always played the light one, you know. And I explained to him that Seamus McNeill was the first one that drew me up when I started Peaver. No, you don't play the heavy throw in the Peaver, you play this light throw, you see. And it was Catherine's lament I was going through with him, you know. So the controversy about the D-throw still rages even to this day, you know, depending who's listening and this and the next thing, you know. We never ever seem to have come to a consensus about how to play a throw in the D. You know, folk are playing it heavy, other folk are playing it light, and you know, everybody takes the opposing view about what's good, what's bad, instead of just accepting it's a style, you know.
I don't agree that it's just a style. I think there's a place for each of them.
Aye, probably. Aye. But depending on the tune as well.
Depending on the tune, then you get slow airs where you want a light one, but you want a bigger low G on it when you just below you play. Similar to a Peaver.
Aye, yeah.
D-throws, I've always been a bit of a stickler for D-throws. after that career with D-throws.
Aye, it's funny, isn't it? Who did you go to after that for lessons?
I didn't go to anybody after that. I stayed with the band. I was just played in the band, and I played in the band till '73. And Bob McCroskey, he was retired off, and David Clark took on.
Right.
And David Clark came in with new broom sweeps clean and all the rest of it, and he eventually took the band to good heights. I have to say, they took them up to top 5 in the world at one time. Did very well with the band. But by that time, 1973, if you recall what we would call it, the year of the short corn, that was the 3-day week, and I think my time was just out. My apprenticeship was just out at that time.
Power strikes.
I'd served my apprenticeship in Troon Shipyard as a turner. Ailsa Shipyard in Troon, and we were only getting 3 days a week. And when the miners weren't in strike, somebody else was in strike, and then I seen this advert to go to Africa. I'll have a go at that. So off I went to Africa, and as far as tuition's concerned, I never really did any more tuition after that until I met a guy years later in Johannesburg, because I left here and I went to Rhodesia, as it was at the time, which is now Zimbabwe. And then after a while there, in 1977, things were getting kind of rough there. I left, I went down to stay in Johannesburg in South Africa, and I met a guy called John Farmer, who you could say changed my life as far as piping is concerned, because John wasn't a great player, but he was a great student of pipes, and he knew a great deal about it, you know. And he kind of took me under his wing, and he sorted what he considered was a few things out, and just got me started in Peaver. So that was me. I never really played Peaver till I never played a creel until I was 25, 26. And that was the ball rolling. Then once the Peaver bugs, you know, once the bug bites you, you're hooked. So I was well into it for a while, and then I had the misfortune to get shot. I get shot through the shoulder, and we'll not go into the circumstances, just a stupid boy being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So that put my shoulder out of commission for a long time, which it still is out of commission. I don't have a joint in there anymore.
What shoulder is it?
The right one.
The right one.
Fortunately, it was fortunately it was the right one. You know?
Instead of having to support drones.
Yeah, but so that put me out of commission for a spell. But just at the time, I was actually doing quite well with the pre-book at the time. About half a dozen tunes under my belt, and I was up and running. So that put me out of commission for a year or two. And then again, it was the same guy, John Farmer, that got me out of the doldrums. He says, no, listen, you've got to come up and compete. So we went to one of the games, and he gave me his pipes and tuned them up, and he says, just go and play.
Mm-hmm.
So we got back playing again, which was good. And
Was it quite strong, the piping in South Africa?
Aye,
What was the sort of piping background out there?
at that time there was a lot of immigrants who were keeping the ball rolling. You know, there was a lot of immigrants. There was various parts of the country. There was a lot, especially around Johannesburg. I mean, I played briefly in the Southern Johannesburg Caledonian Society band. There's a chap called Roy Blevins. He was the pipe major. Roy was a really nice guy, and he played in the 153 when they won the Worlds. And Jackie Carragher, who played for Greenock, he was in the same 153. There was Murdo Mackenzie, who's now up in, he come from Darvel, now he's up in Fort William. There was, you could say there was, at any given time, there was maybe, if we had 10 pipers in parade, you could say 6 of them were Scots, you know. So,
Aye.
and they'd played over here.
A reasonable standard as well.
So Roy was a great pipe major. Roy could get the best out of the guys with a minimum of practice, which was good. But I'll say, in South Africa, generally speaking, I met a fella called Chris Mullender, Chris was the most enthusiastic guy I'd ever met with pipe. Most enthusiastic. He'd just been over here for 6 months. He did 6 months with Duncan Johnson in Glasgow. And he was back in South Africa, and he started the Pipers Training Centre South Africa. Then he would take on the pipe major's job at the South African Irish Regiment. So I went and played in his band, the South African Irish Regiment, you know, the Sapling Kilt and etc. And Chris is a great way, just so enthusiastic a guy.
Aye.
And he was the first guy I ever came across who actually opened the Piping Training Centre in South Africa, and that was all he did, top piping. And
right.
Pipes and reeds and various things. And to this day, Chris is my best pal, you know, he's a really good guy. And he came up with he taught me a few tricks that I didn't know. So up until that stage, I had a few people had showed me various things, you know, but I never really had a guru.
How many years was that through up to that point?
Up till I get shot. That was about 5 years.
Aye. And what kind of pipes were you playing?
I was playing an old set Henderson bagpipes.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I was a boy, my mother took me up to Glasgow, and my mother was not one for going very many places, but she took me up to Glasgow, and we got under the umbrella and we took a bus out to Bishop Briggs, and John Weatherson was the main man out there.
Aye. John's a nice guy.
He was very pleasant man. And he had a second-hand set. So he sold me this second-hand set of pipes for £25.
Aye.
I mean, you might it might not sound like a lot now, but at that time, I think my father's wages would be £10 a week.
But so you took them away out to Africa, and did you play them the whole time you were in South Africa?
I think at 19, I thought I was clever, which didn't turn out that way. There was a friend of mine bought, I'd say about 1979 when I started playing again after I'd been shot. He bought himself a set of Granger and Campbell pipes, and this was a lovely set of pipes. They weren't very well mounted, but easy to tune and all the rest of it. So I said to my pal, because at that stage, what I was having to do to tune, I can't lift this arm, so I had to get the bass drone stop and tune with my left hand, which wasn't very hard. So I needed a set of pipes that were easier to tune. So I said, I've got a set of these Granger and Campbell pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I even sold the pipes I had to get the money to buy them.
Yeah.
It was a new set. I think that must have been about the time when at the end of the days when you could buy ivory pipes. So I bought these ivory mounted pipes, and to be fair, they didn't come up to the standard that I wanted. So I started experimenting with them, of course. You know.
Right. We'll come on to that in a wee while. Yeah.
persevered with it.
Right. You were an engineer.
Yes.
Were you engineering in South Africa?
Oh yes.
What type of engineering were you
At that time, when I was in Joburg, I was working in a place where we made printing machines and paper converting machines. So it was quite technical work.
Aye.
And you could always find time to do a wee home job, you know.
Engineers always did that.
Try this, try that, and the next thing.
Aye.
Whatever I did, it didn't seem to make them much better. I managed a bit better later on.
But the thing is, you learn from your mistakes, aren't you?
Sometimes the mistakes can be costly.
Aye. But the great thing is, make mistakes but don't make them twice.
That's for sure, That's for sure. I've made my share of mistakes.
Aye.
I just don't tell anybody about them.
Aye.
Put them in a bucket and keep quiet.
But so is that where you started your interest in sort of turning and
you
making
could
pipes?
say that, because at that stage I wanted those pipes to be a bit better, and I begged and borrowed other bits of bagpipes and footed about and tried to make them better. So, but I think in with hindsight, the biggest problem I had was my ears. I didn't have a really good ear, which, to be fair, you really need a really good. If you compare one thing just now and then you do one little thing to it and you try it 10 minutes later, it's such a small change.
Do you think your ear has improved?
No. I've got permanent perforation in the one, so there's no change there. You know?
But even with experience of listening to other bagpipes over the years, you must have
I'm sure
sensed some improvement. You know,
I think the more you know, or the more you can hear, you don't appreciate how much you
acquire an ear.
You don't really appreciate what you hear. I mean, it's as simple as there's my son John, for example. John's got a perfect pitch.
Yeah.
And there's a story as a boy. And John was about 15. He's up the stairs in his room, and I'm in the living room there playing my pipes. I think, this is going great stuff.
Right.
And John comes bounding down the stairs. He goes way back up the stairs again. So, and you think you're doing well, you know.
Aye, but sometimes I wonder if we're like painters, and when you don't practice and you don't look at other stuff and all the rest, I think you lose the tonal quality. That's the first thing that goes, and you lose the general ability to execute your art, if you like. But if you are in Piper's company all the time, or you're in a pipe band, a top pipe band, and you listen to a good pitch, you acquire the ear for that pitch. And it's the same with the solo pipe, and if you're doing the circuit or you're mixing with other pipers, you listen to the bass there, you're going to acquire that sort of pitch in your mental eye sort of thing, and say, oh, that's what I'm trying to acquire here, you know. And so when you're messing about with reeds and a pipe chanter and this, that and the next thing, you're going in the right direction because you've got a notion about what you're trying to do, rather than just going about in a fog. But it must have been difficult, possibly out in South Africa. Has that been patronising? Probably is. How is their pitch out there?
Because you remember Johannesburg's 6,500 feet up, and it's a notorious difficult place to get pipes going. Coming from here to there, you get to put about half a yard of hemp under your chanter reed to get it.
Right.
And then you finish up. Because I was there recently, and you find the guys that get a lot, with modern chanters now, they get a lot of chips on the low because they've got to cover so much of the high G hole to get it into pitch.
Yeah.
So they've got the problems there, but as I said, there used to be a lot of immigrants who helped the piping scene there, but there isn't any immigrants anymore. There is different schools of thought. I know a bit of the South African scene, but you don't need to be Scottish to play bagpipes. You know?
No.
And in one of the respects that I think teaching generally the world over is better, and there's more accessible teaching now than ever before in the world. There's none of this story, I've got a wee secret and I'm not telling you. You ask some of the top players to do it, ask them something about technical, they'll tell you.
Aye.
I mean, that's the same. I mean, around here when I was about, there was nowhere you could learn paper. The only way you could learn a paper here was where, I think at this time, it was started Donald MacLeod's music tapes, or go to the College of Piping. That was the only places you could learn a Piper around.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I know about South Africa. If you want to play bagpipes in South Africa, somebody along the way, not even far along the way, when you're doing your movements, will show you what a croonlura is
Aye.
on a dray and a die. Somebody will show you that, because now that's coming into the pipe band repertoire, those movements.
Yes. Aye.
So generally speaking, that you'll be familiar with what Piper's all about, whereas here when I was a boy, Piper was just a funny word.
I tend to agree with you there, yes.
Unless you were not.
Aye.
I think the only one about here that played any Piper was David Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Young David Kay up in Cumnock. And I don't think he even pushed it in. I think he played once at Cowler.
Well, I stayed up in Glasgow, and I had Norrie Gillis as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of his first pupils, if not the first pupil, because he was in his early 20s at that time. Norrie wasn't a Piper player at that time. I know he went to John McClellan at the Castle. He did the course there, and he probably picked up a bit in Piper and that. But Norrie was a light music man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt I had to go back to the College of Piping, the likes of John McFadgen or Ian McFadgen or something like that, to try and Ronnie Morrison, who eventually went back to for Piper lessons, you know. But it was still a problem there. I don't think it's nearly as big a problem now, getting Piper lessons.
No, it's not a problem now.
You know.
Because even at the schools, if you're in a school that they've got an instructor,
Aye.
it has to be at least, to pass your exams, he has to be able to give you a ground of a Piper
Mm-hmm.
run with. You have to know that anyway.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a boy, what's a ground? The ground's something you walk on. There's no, at least when we told about it.
Just before we dip away from South Africa, I'm kind of anxious just to give it the full whack here. Highland Games, did they have Highland Games?
Oh, yes.
So was it scattered throughout the country, or was it local?
Yes and no. It's around about Johannesburg, which is what they call it, it's Waterland. It's you would say there's maybe between Pretoria and Johannesburg, maybe about 5 or 6 games a year.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a big one down on the south coast at Durban, down in the Manzimtoti. They have 1 or 2 down where Chris Derry comes from, down in Grahamstown direction. There's 1 in Cape Town, 1 in Kimberley, 1 in Bloemfontein. So if you've got a lot of them, you've got to do a lot of travelling to, right?
No, that's fine. How many, I take it the solo piping there?
There's always solo piping in the morning and the bands in the afternoon.
What sort of entry have they got?
Now I couldn't tell you. I don't really know. I'm going to go back in March to play in the 100 Guineas competition, and that's Piper and March to Spain Real.
Uh-huh.
There'll be about 12.
Right.
Which is a fair entry.
But if you go to Tain Elk now,
That's
which I
it.
did,
Yes,
there's only 12 competed there.
It's the same story, yeah.
Right. So we shouldn't frown at the attendance figures elsewhere, and we will come round to the games in a wee while. In Scotland, you
Out
know.
of that 12, I'm going for Scotland. There's a guy called John Decker who's a South African but he's staying in New Zealand. He's going over back.
Right.
He's going over. And there's a chance of Rowan Martin who lives up in Zimbabwe. Him coming down for it. So
Aye.
it's the one competition where they come from all over the country to the place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Chris Terry's down in Graham's. You might say Chris Terry's in South Africa, but he's 1,000 miles away from Joburg. You know, it's a big place.
Aye, of course, it's a huge place.
The 100 Guineas competition is a bit special. Everybody comes.
And the climate there for playing pipes outside.
Great.
Aye.
Great.
I know you talked about the rarefied atmosphere because
you
I
get
hate,
used
but
to that.
apart from that, the rest of the climate was.
Sunday practices under a tree. You know, Sunday morning band practice under a tree is great fun.
Aye.
Shorts and a t-shirt and sit under a tree playing your pipes. It's great fun.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about South Africa at all?
No, I had many good times in South Africa.
And
And I go back regularly, so.
when you back, did the troubles back and forward ever impinge on your life over there?
I told you to get shot at.
Aye. Apart from
That was
that.
about a year out of the game getting shot.
Aye. But was it a frequent experience to come across a sort of?
It can be a violent country.
Aye.
It can be.
Well, Joburg had that reputation.
Joburg's getting to be very violent.
It's supposed to be the murder capital of Africa, so
The world very near. It is getting a dangerous place. But you can take precautions. There's my pal Chris, for example. He was robbed. He broke into his house, put a gun at his head and pulled the trigger 3 times and it didn't work. He just stuck a screwdriver in the guy and the guy ran away.
I remember you told me a story about you were in the house and you had a compartment in the house or a safety place that you had to go into and all that sort of stuff.
I'll tell you this, it was over for one of the 100 Guinness competitions and Cyril Hall and I were left in Chris's house alone. And Cyril was playing with all these remote controls. So what did he do? He went and pressed the panic button. So, because we didn't know about it, the panic button. So 2 or 3 minutes later, they're screaming and shouting at the front gate. It was only just 10 yards away, these 2 big security guys. And I come down to it, and the one's got a pistol like this, and he's cocking his pistol. The guy's standing at the back with a rifle. And he says to me, "What's the password?" I said, "I don't know." Because these guys have got the story, if you don't give them password, they're over the fence in 2 minutes, you see.
Aye.
So eventually I made a phone call and it transpired that my name was Mulhearn. It's very similar like Mullender, so it must be my house.
Aye.
But that's the kind of thing that happens sometimes.
Aye.
It is a violent country, but take simple precautions, you can be alright.
Aye. I suppose you can get used to anything sort of thing.
Well, it was the same as when I stayed up in Rhodesia. Rhodesia at the time, which is now Zimbabwe, that was the most wonderful country I'd ever been in, I have to say. It was a fantastic place.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I was there over Christmas and New Year. It still is a wonderful place, and there's some lovely people there. And for all the trouble in Zimbabwe, you can walk around Bulawayo, for example, and feel completely safe. You couldn't do that in Joburg.
Peter MacLeod Jr. spent
time in Bulawayo.
Time there, and he composed the Blue Lagoon, the famous Blue Lagoon jig.
I don't know about the Blue Lagoon, but I remember I played with the Bulawayo Caledonian Society band. And we had a job to do up in Salisbury, which was it's like going from here to London, about 500 miles away. And so we go overnight in the train. So the big gig was the Rhodesian Regiment. We had to play the Rhodesian. I didn't know it, so I learned it getting up in the train. So and I remember fondly about it. I remember playing. We played along with it was us, the Bulawayo Caledonians, and there was the Salisbury Caledonians playing down Jameson Avenue with the army behind us playing the Rhodesian Regiment. Hey,
fantastic! Great stuff.
Memories are made of this.
So eventually, for some reason or other, you decided to come back here.
Yes, my shoulder fell apart again, which was I'd had it operated on 2 or 3 times, and there was screws and plates and all holding it together, and it was infected. There was still a lot of stuff in the pieces of glass and various things in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go into hospital to get all the plates and screws taken out, and there was no guarantee it would still work, would still hold together. So I was married with Anne, and John was a wee boy, and Ben was on the way, and where I was working, money was tight. Then the woman came from the office in the hospital. She said, "Mr. Mulhearn, your insurance is finished on Friday. Please make other arrangements."
Jeez, oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Anne was booked into shall we say, the most expensive place in the town to have Ben when he was coming in.
Aye.
But no medical insurance. There was no guarantee his shoulder was going to work. And so I just decided then at the time, just sell up, come away. So I think it took about 4 weeks to sell everything and go on a plane and get back here.
Right, National Health Service, eh?
Well, to be fair, they haven't done much for me since. I have to say. That operation that I did get, it worked.
Aye.
And fortunately, it's been almost top notch since. It's limited movement. I only get scapular movement, but it's very little pain. So it's
excellent.
I did go wrong once, and I went to the hospital here, and the guy says, "Well, the best we can offer is do the same operation that was done before." And he says, "There's no guarantee it'll work," but it just never fell apart. So
you're still here.
I'm still here. Because I mean, I'm a serious game, because you've got to work, you know. Mm-hmm. Work. I mean, I can only do kind of light engineering.
So when did you come back then?
It was 85.
85, right. Okay.
We went to Aldershot.
Uh-huh.
Because my wife's folks stayed by Aldershot. And I didn't like it down there. Too many people down there for my liking.
Aye.
I mean, to get to work, you would drive 2 miles out of your way to go to a roundabout rather than
Aye.
so I didn't like it.
Aye.
Eventually we come back up here.
So you're back to your
Well, as I
on
said,
bidding
by
and
that time I had 2 kids. Ben was born down in Guildford at the time. And I said to myself, where's the best place I've ever been for bringing up kids?
Aye.
Trin.
Aye.
Hope they don't let them go out, you know.
Aye.
Safe
Nice climate and all the rest. It's sun shining. It's snowing up the Fenwick Moor, but it's sunny and Troon.
It's always nice and Troon. It's always nice and Troon.
So, did you come back and get a job?
Oh yes, very much so. It was a necessity. I couldn't at that time. In late '85, again, things were tight here.
Yeah.
So my wife's a nurse. She got a job, and she was kind of keeping us afloat. Then eventually I got a job, and then I went from one job to another, and never really been out of work since then. But in subcontract for some time.
Aye.
Which is subcontract's a bit kind of chancy occupation.
Yeah.
It pays better. There's more overtime.
Aye.
And at that time, as I like to say, I didn't play pipes through those 2 or 3 years because I used the story, wife's wains and mortgages come first, you know.
Aye. So when did you get back into it again?
1989. 1989. I went to. I decided I was wanting to do it because I was put on about making a set of pipes. Then I went to the college. I had the choice of getting lessons for Angus MacDonald or Angus McClellan. And I'd heard them busy talking. Angus was going away somewhere and doing this. So I said, well, if he's coming, he's going to be away. Angus McClellan. I heard Angus was a good teacher. So I went to Angus off and on through all his troubles and my troubles for about 10 years.
Aye.
And John, he taught John as well.
Uh-huh.
I thought I found Angus an excellent teacher, very patient teacher. Very patient.
It's quite a pleasant way of putting it across,
Oh, yes.
really. You know, I had 2 or 3 lessons with Angus myself, and discussions about tunes like Lament for the Only Son and all that sort of stuff. And he was well read and he knew his subject. You couldn't take that away from him. And he'd studied very heavily under Donald MacLeod. And more or less idolised everything.
Well, it's strange you say that. It's strange you say that because of recent times I've been listening to some of Donald MacLeod's tuition discs. You know?
Aye.
And you see the way he says things.
Uh-huh.
Angus said them just the same.
That's right.
Talking
about the and and all the rest of it.
Terminology for passing how to go over that.
Aye.
Just roll over that E onto that. It's just the same. So Donald MacLeod's instructions did stick with Angus, you know.
Aye.
No, I thought it good, and it was never going with Angus. There was never. No, that's no right. There was never any of that.
No.
It was always good, but very good, but really good.
You might think about trying it this way.
You never to say that's all the nonsense, you know.
Aye.
Because I do remember once when silver medal tunes were, I think it was Well Paid Rent by Rory or something. And I got up and I played it for him and I says, there's no tune in that, Angus, I can't make a tune out of that.
Aye.
So he says, give me, so he took my pipes, you know Angus was a left-hander, he called himself a right-hander, but
Aye.
a left-hander, my pipes, and he put them on his shoulder, and away he went, and then brought the tune to life.
Aye.
Or another one was the tune that Stuart Little won at Inverness with his gold medal, the Lament for the Dead.
Aye.
I mean, I just went through that with me and I said, that's a lot of nonsense, there's no tune in there. And he's Stuart Little playing it, my dearie me, didn't you see where the tune is?
I spoke to Stuart Little just recently about that tune, and he told me he'd won the medal with that. And my reaction was the same as yours. I says, that must have been a set tune, you know, implying who would ever pick that to learn it, you know.
I was saying that there, tell you that. That's one of the top 10 tunes I ever heard, was that tune.
Aye.
Stuart Little playing that tune.
Aye.
Fantastic tune.
I tell you, as you say, it's a wee bit of a gift actually putting music into some of these tunes, you know.
It's not much, it's just a wee shave here.
Aye, but just enough to...
Just enough, you know.
Aye. Some folk have got that gift.
I missed it in that one.
So, you went round games When did you start competing again? Was it immediately in '89, or
No,
did you leave it a few years?
About 91 maybe.
Aye.
Maybe 91. I decided I wanted to have a go at the silver medals. So Angus said, well, that's the tunes there we'll do, and then we'll try and get you into the silver medals. And he says, you can't just go into the silver medals, you've got to play a few games first. And so you do your best. So you get into the silver medals, and to be honest, it wasn't really for me. No, it wasn't for me. Because I can make all sorts of excuses, but I had terrible trouble tuning my pipes, as I told you before, the bass drone stop and tuning like that. And working with tuning lights, I just couldn't work. 3 minutes you get in the silver medal to tune your pipes. It just didn't work for me. So I think I've been about 5 or 6 goes at the silver medals. And there wasn't one performance that I could
You were happy with?
I could even say my pipes were in tune, to be honest.
Is that right?
It's demoralising.
What was the actual problem you had? This is an interesting thing, and the viewers will be interested, because what we're talking, the people that we're talking to just now are people like you and I that have problems day and daily with pipes. We're no stars, 5-star players that are listening to this are talking here, and it's interesting to hear folk with problems and how they address them or whatever. The first question that one would pose is, why can you not tune them in the tuning room and just get them going there and then just walk onto the platform and play them, So there's a question, what's the answer?
Well, I would say from my own point of view, it's more down to nerves. At that stage it was down to nerves.
And that's a big factor.
That is a big factor. But you need to be nervous, and being nervous is good, because being nervous, it brings other things for you. Your fingers are a bit crisper, your crooners are a bit better, a wee bit nervous. But as far as tuning's concerned, you seem to think when you go up there and you go, it's not the same on there, because you're not blowing the same when you go on there.
Explain that.
Well, I'll split it. This has been well worked out over the years.
Okay.
When you want to play, you blow your pipes up and you think, oh Chris, they're not in tune. So you bring them down, you think they've got to come down. Now, you don't take into account that when you're nervous, the muscles in your neck contract a wee bit. So you're not blowing as hard as you thought you were blowing. So in effect, your drones want to go up a wee bit.
Aye.
But you don't suss that.
Right, okay.
You start digging a hole, and then you keep digging, and you
Aye.
dig, and you dig. Where you should just sit back, stop the middle tenor, and go up 2 clicks. Up 2 clicks in the bass, and then listen to it. And surprise, it'll probably get better.
Aye.
But most folk start screwing them.
Everybody wants to tune down a bit. Yeah.
When you're nervous, your neck contracts a wee bit, and you're not blowing it. You think you're blowing as hard, but you're not blowing as hard.
And what about the elbow? What's that doing?
The what?
What is the elbow doing? Is it the same? It's no squeezing as
Well,
hard?
my big problem was when I was doing that, I had to grip it. I had to do it this fashion.
Aye.
I remember one particular time playing the silver medal in Oban, and McDonald McPherson was judging actually, and I made such a mess of tunes, and I think that was the year there was 6 tunes in for the silver medal. I don't know what it was, and that was 6 months' work for me.
Aye.
And I couldn't get my pipes tuned.
It's amazing that.
Carry on that was.
Did you find it easier? We're talking indoor tuning here. Do you find it easier? I know you go around the games even yet, and on a regular basis. Do you find it easier tuning outdoors and then just walking over the platform?
I can do that.
Because it's the same atmosphere,
I can
really.
do that, no trouble at all. You wait till the last guy's gone, and give the judge 2 or 3 minutes to he starts looking for the next guy.
Yeah.
And and your pipes are fresh then. You can say, as long as I've got, I always used to say, as long as I've got the outside tenor right, we're on the money.
Aye.
We can do it.
Yep. Aye, absolutely.
Until I got my new pipes. Until I get the screw pipes then. Once we get the screw pipes in, all those problems vanished.
Aye, well, we'll discuss that in a wee minute. But that's an interesting thing. Blowing. You've already discussed a couple of problems here. I think a lot of people's problems is that they're erratic with their blowing for a start. Nerves can do the thing too, you know. Especially you're maybe in the second phrase of the third part of a march or something like that, and the concentration's just no there, and we're blowing or squeezing blowing out a sharp D or something like that, you know. And that can be slightly off-putting because that disturbs your concentration. How do you feel about all that? How's the experience with that? Have you managed to control that or what?
Once I've got going, I'm not too bad.
Aye. Just into the tune, you're off and running.
Once I'm off and running the pipes and tune, then
aye.
Then I'm quite happy.
Aye, aye.
Then you're only going to rely on talent then.
I think I'm the other way about.
No, once
I can get my pipes tuned, no bother. I get the best sounding pipes in the world, and then I start to tune, and I start erratically. The whole thing's downhill from there on, you know. And by the time you arrive at the third and fourth bars, you're just finished a day there, you know. You're dropping the occasional G grace note or whatever. You know, aye, but I think we worry over much as pipers. People playing other musical instruments get themselves into such a state as the pipers do when they're playing in front of an audience. I don't know.
I think they do. I mean, as a woman comes to me, she used to play the flute.
Aye.
And she's so used to, even now after 3 or 4 years, she wishes where to take a breath, you know, because if you're playing a flute, it's marked on the music where you have to take a breath.
Okay.
And in piper, you don't. I think this is things that said some people, you know, where to take a breath. It's not something I worry about, but I worry about different things, you know.
Aye, but we seem to get ourselves into an awful leather about playing just a normal tune in the house in front of other pipers.
I think, you know, the best thing for playing in front of other people is the confidence of youth.
Aye.
When you're young,
you
don't know the things you don't know.
The brashness, aye.
You don't know the things you don't know.
Aye.
You think you're playing great, so you have confidence, you know.
Aye, that's it.
And it only comes years later when you find out, because I've been playing it that way all this time, it's not right, you know. You
overthink it.
It's this time I played for Donald McPherson. I think it was the first competition when I played in Scotland. Donald McPherson was judging, and I played Kinlochmoy at number 1.
Okay, I know it.
And I thought, man, I figured this is the tune, you know.
Yeah, okay.
And Donald McPherson, man, where did you get that tune? I said, I got it off a friend of mine in South Africa.
Aye.
He said, it's not right, you know. Okay, thank you.
And what were you actually doing? I'm interested in this.
I was getting into the first variation. That was the timing all completely wrong.
Aye. How did you get on with the first low A in the tune? Did you extend that?
Yeah, something like that.
Because there's two recordings in the Pipers'Persuasion. You know, they've got their website, and you go into the website and you listen. As Andrew Wright plays that quite a long low A. And then you get listen to other ones. It's shorter. And Andrew you know, it's quite subtle, but when you listen to it right along the line, it's noticeable, you know. And you always have a wee debate about yourself. Yet in the second line, it's no match in the first line, the timing.
No.
So, you know, if you're doing the thing right, you should hold on to the same note. You know,
yeah, but it doesn't work that way.
No. But so these are problems that you and I have all the time, you know, about listening and how you play that, this and you want to do your best in the games.
Oh, I like going to the games. I love going to the games.
And then the next thing, people say, why are you still playing at games? Why do you play games?
That's what I do.
I mean, you know Callum Bowman, Roddy McLeod, or
you don't play the games.
Willie, and they don't play the games. But you go to 10-0, such as I did, just for the first time in 20 years, I decided to go pell-mell into it again, and you go round the games, and who's there? Angus McCall and young Angus.
Well, that's the
you know,
local games. So.
and they go round the games, and that's nice. But I think if it wasn't for people like yourself, Brian, and others, then there wouldn't be any competitions, because Angus McCall would be playing against himself. You know, if everybody took the view that they must win and all this.
He can be beat too, you know.
Of course.
He has off days too.
Aye.
Not very many of them, but
no, but you see where I'm coming from, and it's you're taking part not necessarily to you'd like to win and you do your best to win, but it's not a big deal if you don't win. You're enjoying your day out.
It's a day out, and you're one of the boys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The boys they can be 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-odd-year-old. Even the 60-odd-year-olds are still on the team.
Aye.
And all these young fellas, does this old fella know anything here?
Aye.
I better be careful, you know.
Aye.
I'll just tell him, don't make any mistakes, pal, because I'm waiting at the back here. Make sure your drones are tuned.
No, but it's quite pleasant, and you can have a wee conversation.
It's always a good banter of the game.
And a conversation with the judge as well, which you could never do in a pipe band situation or something like that. I mean, I stood and I went to Arisaig and I spoke to Ian McFadgen after I played, and it wasn't brutal, but he had a subtle way of putting it. He says, "I liked your reel."
I remember an instance too. I think it might have been Arisaig, because Arisaig and the Moro games used to be in the same, up in the hill. You know,
yes, that's right. Aye.
And for people who's never been there, that's a beautiful part of the world. Beautiful and a nice day.
I was lashing
the Western Highlands is beautiful and nice. My dearie me can be terrible.
Well, it was a beautiful day the day before when we arrived, apart from midges and all the rest. And then the day of the actual competition, lashing the rain, and I had the big Inverness cape on for the paper. And I purposely just took the bull by the horns and I said, I want to go in first. Just get it over and done with it. But I played the tune and the pipes held out and all the rest of it. But it suited me just to go in first, because I could pick my time just. And I remember tuning up, the final tune under a Canadian's umbrella, you know. And I'd been tuning up in the back of the car before that.
Oh, I did that before.
You're right, and just out there and under the cape and up, final tune up, and my pipes are fine.
Yeah. You don't need to be so good outside.
The pipes are fine, and I get through the tune, and fun enough, it was McDonald Kilmainham. Yeah. And I get through it, and the judge, chap from Owen, I forget his name, very nice man, you know, and he was quite complimentary. Yeah. That's all I was looking for, you know. And I went down the hill and I played in the Marks of Spain Reel, and I get through it.
Happiness, is it?
No mistakes, and they said they liked my reel, and I thought that's very good, you know. But as you say, it's quite convivial going to these places and taking part, because we'd hate to see the death at solos and Highland games and all this, because that's part of that deal, isn't it?
The smaller games, if you take the RSA games for an example, that Ian McFadgen and they'll get what's his name going down for Inverness, McLean.
It's McLean I'm talking about, yeah. Aye.
I mean, those two guys to come down, they're paying a lot of money for judges and fees and expenses. And if there's only half a dozen guys turning up, they're not going to run the games for that.
No.
But it's funny you should say that. I remember playing for Ian McFadgen, I think it was there as well, Arisaig or Mora. And I was like, I think it was Coriolis and Scooter was playing. And I was halfway through it, and my middle tenor stopped. Tenors used to stop, they don't stop anymore. The tenors used to stop. And he says to Brian, he says, I had a notion one of your drones stopped, but it's kind of windy, I couldn't be sure. I just looked at your face and I knew fine your drone had stopped. Okay. There's some good stories, and the evening fashion has been very helpful to me. Most of the judges, if you go around long enough,
Aye.
they realise you're trying, and they realise what you're trying to
You're
do.
just out playing a tune.
If you ask them for a wee bit of advice, they'll give you a bit of advice.
Of course.
They know they're
Aye.
Judges don't sit there waiting for you to make mistakes.
No.
They want you to play well.
And they're actually, can see in their face, they're trying to egg you on to a good performance. There's nobody trying to destroy you out there. They're delighted if you come up with some sort of performance.
I remember once playing for Jimmy Young, and Jimmy Young could be a terrible
Oh,
I like Jimmy, no mistake. I mean, he's a bit of a crabbit man, and I'm a bit of a crabbit man too, so
Roller.
I quite like Jimmy. I like Jimmy a lot. But Jimmy would be one of these guys that he would sit there, what tune are you going to play? Fair enough, carry on. And as soon as you went, I heard it in. See if your drone's no tune problem. Off we come.
Aye.
Wasn't even listening.
No.
Wasn't even listening.
I remember he told me at Cowell once, it was 60, competed at Cowell at the Peaver. That was only about 20 years ago. Him and Big Ronnie were judging, and it was just, and Kenny McLeod had given me a hide bag, and Cowell and a hide bag, this doesn't work, you know, rain and this and that. And Jimmy, I went up to it, says, right, I see you've got the wee spray. I was looking for the shortest tune. He wasn't interested I just looked for the shortest tune, and I was 57th on. And he said to me, if your drones are no right, stop. Just so that just reinforces what you're talking about, you know.
Then there was another occasion I played for Jimmy someplace, and I'll give him his due. I went up to him, it was a bad day. I went up to the table, and I was about 7th or 8th on it, about 12. No, it wasn't as many, it was more than that. I was near the end. And he was up and says, what tune are you going to play with? I said, I think you gave me too long in this condition.
Aye.
Don't make a mistake.
Aye.
And I took that to me was, all the guys before me have made mistakes.
Aye, aye.
So I didn't make a mistake, I got a prize.
But did you ever hear Jimmy Young playing?
In his day, yeah.
I did as well.
He was in South Africa.
He had a fantastic set of pipes, you know.
He was the dapper man, Jimmy. His piping was like himself. He was always pristine, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at the guy like that.
Bonnie Ann was one of his tunes, am I right?
No, I wouldn't, because he didn't do the burls. Because I lost my burl and I went to Jimmy and says, what tune's going to play, Jimmy? So he gave me a list of tunes that was actually, you could play without burls.
Aye. I heard them back in the 60s.
Well, maybe had a burl then, but
aye.
latterly he didn't have a burl. A drum. He couldn't have did Bonnie.
He was teaching at the College of Piping latterly.
Because when Angus McClellan went into hospital the first time, they got Jimmy in to replace him, and I went to Jimmy for some lessons. And now John went to Jimmy for some lessons too.
Yeah.
And there's another wee story. John he'd been doing the Cameronian rant in the little cascade. He was practiced up for his some exam at the school, big exam at the school. And I went up to pick him up after his lessons. I said, did you do the rant with Jimmy? I said, that was a big tune, Jimmy said. Oh, no, you don't do the rant with Jimmy. He said, why no? No. If you miss a grace note in the second last bar of the last part, he said, you've got to start all over again. That was a good fellow, Jimmy. Aye, but it worked for him, you know.
Aye.
Play it till you get it right.
Aye. But I always remember hearing South Youth games one year, 64, and a brilliant set of pipes. And there was a music teacher standing beside me and says, they've gone like an organ. He says, and this guy knew nothing about bagpipes, but he had a keen musical ear, and he was very, very impressed with Jimmy's instrument, you know.
No, Jimmy was I'd love to. I remember I took John to him for lessons. I said, I'm not going to that man. He's a crabbit man.
Aye.
He says, he's not a crabbit, he's a lovely man.
It was actually, I played in front of him 2 or 3 times at various competitions. It was okay, I think it was fair enough. Huh? But so your family then, you've alluded to John and Ben, when did they start playing?
I started teaching John when he was 9,
Mm-hmm.
and I taught him for a year. And at that stage I'd been going to Angus for lessons.
Aye.
And I says to Angus, will you teach your John? Aye. So So it was at the time, it was difficult because I was working shifts and various things. But anyway, he got a lesson every week for many years off at Angus. And he instilled in John the good thing which a lot of the good players don't seem to appreciate. John in particular, but the same as a lot of, they've been taught well for day one. They don't understand why other people just don't do it right.
I know. Aye.
They just don't get it why sometimes you don't get two low G's in a Turlua, you know.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
I understand exactly where you come from, but we didn't get that type of
I never got that kind of tuition when I was young. I should have done, and you could say, well, the guy that taught you should have done, but he was just teaching me to play in the grade 2 band.
Aye.
He wasn't teaching me to.
But I don't think the teaching was anywhere near the standard that it is now.
No.
I think the standard of tuition now, and that's why we've got so many brilliant young players.
Yes, of course there is. There's a lot of them there. I don't know whether to feel sorry for them or happy for them, but there's a lot of the young fellas out there going to look for medals and they're not going to get them, but they're not far away, you know.
Aye, but even getting a tune in C grade now, there's no bad players going into these.
Let me tell you, I'm one of the few, you know, if not the only one. That years ago I used to pick up the odd prizes in the Open before I was grading. Then I got prizes in the grade B when I was demoted.
Okay.
Then I've had prizes in the grade C since I've been demoted. There's not many people come down the hole like that.
So, we'll stick with John for a second. He went on and he received lessons, and then when did he go into some more serious stuff about his tuition and this and that?
John?
Aye.
Oh, as soon as he went to Angus, I think Angus took him the first day he was there. I took him up and he could play most of his movements, and I never taught him any piano. I think I did the first variation of Macintosh's Lament.
Aye.
Just
because
if you don't like paper, somebody says they don't like paper, show them how to play that, and that changes their mind. But he went to Angus, and I think Angus gave him, the first day he was there, a march to spray and roll on a ground of it's Mackay's banner, no Mackay's banner, Macintosh's banner.
Aye.
When he was 10. And he played in his first competition when he was 10. He couldn't play a Strasbourg reel, but he played in the march competition and the paper competition. When he was 10. So Angus put a lot of time into John.
And then what happened to him after that, John?
Well, he went to Angus off and on for years. Then he went to Jimmy Young. He went a spell with wee Kenny MacDonald. And then he was off and running.
And he's working with
he goes to Roddy, and Roddy keeps him.
National Piping Centre.
He teaches at the Piping Centre. That's him. He's been 10 years at the Piping Centre.
And has he been teaching there?
Yes.
What does he do anything else apart from teach at the Piping Centre?
He's involved in various other projects. Trist is a kind of, I don't know what you would call it. It's a group of players he's involved with. And he does folky stuff.
Aye.
He does a bit of composing. Not only for bagpipes.
Well,
he's busy, but he's decided he's not going to compete for the time being.
But his life is piping.
His life's piping, that's it.
Aye. And young Ben?
Young Ben's the same. He's a big player now. He works here with me. So it's...
Right.
If you take John, for example, John's never earned a penny at anything else. Even he went to Glasgow University, even when he was at university, he worked at the College of Piping in the afternoons and taught the Wednesday night and Saturday classes. He went away to Australia for a year. He played with the Queensland Police. And he worked for old Sandy Campbell in Brisbane. Then he came back here and Roddy gave him a job at the college, at the Piping Centre. So all he knows is
piping.
Aye.
Well, it's been a good life for him, no doubt.
Aye, he's happy.
Aye.
Why wouldn't he be?
Exactly. He did very well with his prizes when he was competing.
I think the year he gave it, he decided to stop competing. He got second in the gold medal Open. And he said, I don't need to do this anymore. He said,
Aye.
Just when the thing's going well, he stopped.
But the thing is, it's not all about competing either.
And what you'll find out is he's doing a talk at the Pipers'Persuasion Society conference this year. I think it's in March. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here to go and listen to him. I'd like to hear it because he's got different ideas of how people should be played.
So.
He was a bit of a disciple of Alan MacDonald's at one time.
Well, we know about
We know
Alan, and folk can look at his interview. It's very, very interesting, actually.
I'll say John's John, he just does it his way.
Aye, but his ears are open to various ways.
He's a good teacher. If I need somebody, if I need any guidance, I'm going to play somewhere, I'm going to play for John first and do this and that and the next thing. Okay.
That's good, that,
No,
isn't
he
it?
knows what he's doing.
So how much practice are you getting in over the PC? Still playing very regularly yet, Brian?
Playing every day, just played before you came.
Kind of work it, yeah. So when did you start, well, you were thinking about in South Africa. Did you do much when you come back from South Africa, or was it years later before you started to work from the house
Well,
here?
I started working for the house about 1990, because I was going to Angus for lessons. And I made a couple of sets of pipes very unsuccessfully. Then I decided to make plastic pipes. And
Tell us about the brush handle thing.
well, that was a kind of, shall we say, a detour.
But it's a nice. It was quite funny because I met you up at Pitlochry, the Blair Athol, was it?
It was a while ago.
Aye, it was a while ago, and I said to you, your pipes are sounding well, and just off the platform, they said, come here over here, and he showed me. So tell me, what did you show me?
Those ones, well, that's one of many experiments.
Tell us
Where
about
it came to pass was I was working with, trying to make pipes out of various kinds of wood, and out the back of the workshop out there would be an old brush line there for 2 or 3 years out in frost and snow and rain, and I picked it up and I looked like it's still straight.
Mm-hmm.
I said, surely if you can still straight, you can make drones with it.
Aye.
So, all needless to say, it's only a 25mm diameter. So, what I did was I made the bottom joints out of that, and then I just put a plastic cover over the top of it and a mount. So
You slid the brush handle into the plastic, and of course you're looking at black plastic, and you couldn't tell if what was going on inside the black plastic.
And it was actually good for stocks, surprisingly enough. I'd lined some stocks with that stuff as well, because I think it kind of dulls the sound inside the stock.
Aye.
If you get blackwood, you get a certain sound. Even plastic stocks, you get a wee bit harsher sound.
Aye.
And with that, you can get a smoother sound out of that one.
Yeah. It give you a fuller sort of. Aye.
It's kind of dull, kind of flatter sound, you know.
And so, how long did the brush handle set last?
They lasted no long, because after that I made a Tufnell set. That was an experience.
You better explain to folk what Tufnell is, because you and I know way back to the 50s, 60s and all that sort of stuff. But
Tufnell was a material, an insulating material they used to use before they had certain plastics, and it's made of linen, rolled up linen. About sheet form, it's sheets of linen bound together with a binding agent, a kind of gluey stuff. But the round stuff is just rolled up linen with a kind of binding agent on it. And it comes in various hardnesses and various things. That come whale brand and halibut brand and various things. I found whale brand was a bit the easiest to work with. So I made a set out of Tufnell, and I made a set of stainless steel ones.
How did the stainless steel thing work?
Well, I lined them with brush. It was just stainless steel tubing lined with brush shaft and titanium mounts. You know. I remember once. There's another wee story. The stainless steel pipe. I was in the committee of the Scottish Pipers'Persuasion, and I was to be the warm-up piper for one of the knockout competitions. Right?
Okay.
I think at the time it was Alistair Gillis and Stuart Little, and it was in the Ingram Hotel.
Right.
In Ingram Street in Glasgow. And one of the things, I bought myself a nice new waistcoat. A Lindsay tartan waistcoat. You know, Lindsay's kind of dark tartan.
Aye.
Lindsay tartan waistcoat. I was on my shirt and my trousers, and I was the warm up with these stainless steel pipes and a stainless steel chanter, and I'm there with my Lindsay tartan waistcoat on, and people are looking as if I'm stupid. What I didn't take into account, all the waiters and waitresses all had the same tartan waistcoat. So I think that a lot of the people there didn't know me. There was just one of the waiters coming up to play this.
Aye, this is quite good for a waiter, aye. So how did the chanter sound?
It sounded no, the chanter wasn't stainless steel. The chanter was made out of duralumin. So that was a bit easy to work with. It was slight.
What sort of compound is that, duralumin?
It's an aluminium. They make airplanes out of it.
Aye.
So you have a fair idea where I got the material.
Yeah.
Because I worked at British Aerospace.
Aye. I've seen practice chanters made out of that, but
Sure, it's lovely material.
many years ago.
It's lovely material to work with. You work in Rolls Royce, they would use a lot of
Yeah, that's something.
aircraft components, generally speaking, they do.
But
Lovely material.
you tried the hard steels.
No, not for a chanter. No, I wouldn't.
No, but-
I wouldn't use put my reamers in the hard stuff.
No. Because once you start working with real hard steels, you start to use diamond cutters and all
Yes,
this
no,
stuff.
I wouldn't.
And it blunting very, very
Well, the
quickly.
problem is that my finishing reamer now, I've had it for 20 years.
Aye,
It's only been sharpened once in 20 years.
aye,
But that just does it.
aye.
That does the last cut inside the
Yeah,
chanter. That's
yeah,
it, finishing.
aye.
So I'm not going to put that into steel then.
No, because that would just wreck it. Aye.
Because every time you sharpen it, takes it almost
Aye.
the size of it. It's like,
Well, that was my game in the Rolls Royce. My last job before I joined the police was a tool and cutter grinder.
oh, I went to the cutting then.
So, I knew how to take a tenth of a thousandth of an inch off a bit of metal. It was just one spark and that was it. And that was the tolerances you're working to. Fortunately, making bagpipes, you're not working to these kind of
No,
tolerances,
no.
but what sort of tolerances are you working to when you're machining, like say drones or chanter?
Well, if you're talking about the bores, well, everybody these days uses gun dowels. You can order a gun dowel to within half a thousand diameter.
Aye.
You'll always get the same. The gun dowels will always give you
Aye.
a true, nice, shiny finish
Aye.
through a bore. So everybody uses gun dowels these days.
So what's the tolerance are you working when you're measuring your finished product?
The outside, I'll work to the outside maybe plus or minus 10 therm.
So that's all decorative, that doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, you don't
That's
have too
it.
big a step for where the mount goes.
Aye,
and various things.
But what about your inside bores?
Well, that's you get the size the gun dowels give you.
So that's
And gun dowels last for years and years and years.
so it's half a thou.
Within half a time.
Okay.
Of the size it was last time.
Aye. The human hair for the viewer, incidentally, is at 1,500th of an inch. So you worked a third of that.
Yeah.
So just to give folk
Yeah, but that's the truth.
an idea of what we're talking about here,
I mean, everybody will think it's overly technical, but it's just the size the gun dowels will give you.
Aye, but the thing is, it's no technical when it gives you the finished product or otherwise, because if you're out with your tolerances, you're just producing scrap, So you've got to be a trifle careful. It's only wood, I know that, but you've got to do the best with
I mean,
it.
you were talking about cutter gun. I mean, when I made a couple of sets of pipes and I was up at the college, the pipe major Angus MacDonald was there.
Uh-huh.
And he'd said my pipes. He said, "Oh, no bad sounding set of pipes." He says, "Will you make me a set of plastic pipes?" I says, "You serious?" "Aye," he said that. I says, "Well," he said, "will you make them the same as these ones?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Aye." So that was a Friday. He gave me the pipes for Friday to the Tuesday. And as I said, I worked in probably one of the best tool rooms in Ayrshire, except in Ayrshire.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The best at measuring equipment. So I took them into work on the Sunday, the whole Sunday. I measured them all up, all the fancy sizes I could work out. And even these stocks were a kind of, wasn't a standard size.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I got all the sizes, took his pipes back up to him. When am I getting the pipes? I said, "I'll take a week or two, or maybe more." Because just at that stage, they were looking for somebody to go to the cutter grinder.
Right, okay.
And nobody really wanted to do the cutter grinder.
No, it's boring work, isn't it? Oh, I hated it.
But I wanted to know how to alter reamer sizes,
Yeah.
sharpen reamers,
Aye.
and make step drills and various things that you would do in the cutter grinder. So I went to the cutter grinder for about 3 months. So in that time, I had made all the reamers and all the same size, same as Angus's pipes.
Okay.
And the bell at the top, I measured the bell at the top and used liquid, what was it, liquid latex.
Uh-huh.
Pour in liquid latex, let it set, then you pull it out and then you measure the vert. It's quite a clever way of doing it. It wasn't my idea, somebody told me.
Aye, right.
But, and then I made these pipes for Angus. Stainless steel mounts and plastic. And I gave them up to the college and Angus could have made an old washing machine in the shoulder sound.
Aye, I know.
So I made them sound good. And I don't know whatever happened to that set of pipes, I have to say. But they paid me for them, and thanks very much, and all the rest of it. But I wondered it because I got the sizes of the pipes, you know.
It's, you know, the plastic pipes, I took a set across to Bermuda when I crossed the scope a gig for the police band, and I said, and they were saying at one point, would I play with the local crowd at the RCMP were doing the gig, and we were supposed to go in the next year, and I was just going across to see the lie of the land here, and ended up taking a set of McCallum plastic pipes that had just been made on the Monday, and I flew in the Wednesday, Gore-Tex bag, the usual stuff, and Kenny said, don't need to bother about taking them into the cabin or anything like that. It's just fling them into the hold. So they went in the hold along my normal case, and I took them out on the Thursday. They lay in my room. I didn't blow them, and I took them along to another room where there was a bit of whiskey flying about with the RCMP. There was some good papers there, and let's hear them. And the only trouble I had was a double tone in the drone reed, and I sorted the bridle there, and they went terrific, absolutely. And they were astounded. I just a set of pipes, and that's it. And I played them for about 10 minutes or something, and they were fine, you know. And in an appropriate dry climate, they're fantastic. The folk in Arizona and all that sort of stuff, apparently they love them because they don't have any problems with humidity.
I used to sell a lot of plastic pipes in America.
Aye.
But then McCallum's can make them cheaper than me. That's the way. That's business, isn't it?
But the fortunate thing about bagpipes is the market's big enough for everybody. It's a huge market, you know.
I'm not struggling.
And and you'll have plenty to keep you going. I think we'll move out to your wee Button Ben or whatever, your workshop, and just give folk a wee look. And
well, come, because I'll give it a good clean out for you. Come.
Aye, that's good. So we'll shut off this end now, and we'll move through to Ayrshire bagpipe. That's nice and tidy in here. How many lathes? 3?
2 lathes.
And
one machine.
aha. So this one here, where did that come from?
About second hand from.
What's the make of this one?
That's Harrison.
Aha.
Harrison L5 with a copy of it.
Aye. These things can be a century old, you know.
That's about 1970 something.
Aye.
17 something like that.
And you got a Bridgeport.
Got a Bridgeport mill. We use a Bridgeport mill for milling and pitching holes and pipe chunkers.
Great stuff. Yeah. I did a bit of milling and that when my apprenticeship.
There's a Colchester lathe with a copy unit.
Because it brings back memories. And then you've got your buff there.
Buff polishers.
Uh-huh.
Out the back there we've got saws.
Aye. Very neat. All your tools up on a shelf, you know.
As you seen the classics, you can't work in a pigsty.
Well, I've seen a couple of bagpipe workshops. I've been up on the knees and shavings and the rest of it, you know. Right, great stuff. So, what typically are you making here at the moment now?
At the moment I'm pitching holes in these chanters. There's 2 of these chanters going out tomorrow. This is the air fire chanter.
Aye. Is this something you've developed recently, or is it?
Well, I've always I made chanters for many years, and then I decided to have another serious go at it, and I got Colin McLaren to come down and give us a pitch. Because as I've told you before, my ear's not the best.
Well, aye.
So Colin knows what's... Colin, I would say Colin's got the best ear of anybody I've come across. It's a fantastic ear. You can just move a whole 5 thou, or make it 5 thou bigger or 5 thou smaller, and Colin will... Oh, that's we'll have that, or we won't have that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he makes a very good reed
it does well, but unfortunately these are made to suit us. As you know, every chanter doesn't suit every reed.
I know.
But if you use one of these in Colin's reeds, you'll not
I've been playing Collins reeds off and on over the years. Are very good indeed. Aye, and that's your various other tools. So you've got a wee order going for chanters at the moment, then, eh?
Short chanters and blowpipes. Blowpipes are the big thing. The big blow.
Do you make plastic chanters solely, or do you make wooden chanters as well?
I don't make wooden ones. I've got some wood up there I've had for about 20 years.
Aye.
I'll maybe make a few more wooden ones, but I don't. I can't see the difference.
Aye, I know.
I don't see
There's wee Gordon Walker played plastic and still plays.
I don't see the difference.
Aye.
I mean, you might have a better ear and you can maybe discern a wee bit of a difference, but I can't see the difference.
Yeah.
Plus the fact, the wooden ones, the wood costs a lot more and you can put the effort into it.
No, I know. Aye.
Finish up any wooden ones that don't work, you turn them into table
The thing about the plastic chanters is for the climate and all the rest, it's very good, you know.
I wouldn't go back to a wooden one now. Well, if I was making wooden ones, I probably wouldn't say that, but...
But, great workshop, eh? So, and you're making pipes in here. When's the last set of pipes you made?
Just before I went away at Christmas time, in December, I made 3 sets. Just plastic pipes.
Where did they go?
One's in Africa and there's 2 there going back to Africa.
Aye, so abroad. So you do a wee bit of export as well. Aye, that's great. And my micrometer's up there. There's a lot of folk engineering don't know what a micrometer is now, you know.
Well, everybody uses...
Aye, it's all digitals, isn't it?
Everybody's into these gadgets now.
Aye. You used to call them very near.
Very near, they're not quite so very near anymore. You don't need a magnifying glass to see them.
Vernier.
Very near caliper.
Vernier. Aye, terrific. That's the digital, of course. When I was in engineering, which was in the 60s, we didn't have the digital. We just had to read the old Vernier
That's the one that came after the
Aye, I didn't even have that.
No,
I had the almost a slide rule effort, you know.
One of them somewhere.
Aye.
But it's not used to me now, I can't see the behind.
Aye. But it's a grand place here. How long have you had this?
I used to work at the white workshop there for a while. And this is 2018, so this is about 18 years.
Great. So have you been full time for how long in here?
I've been 15 years full time.
Aye.
I retired when I was 50 from British Aerospace, took out and I'm 65, so I must have been 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's terrific.
15 years for full time. I would say before that I'd be 10 years.
Aye.
10 years part time. Anyway.
Aye.
I was never, to be fair, I do feel a bit kind of guilty in as much as it was only just for me to work. But now Ben's working, he's been working with me for a few years, and I never embraced the CNC end of the marketplace. I probably should have done it, but I've been a bit younger.
Aye.
So.
But for the volume that you're doing, this is more than sufficient. Probably.
Aye, I mean, if I make chanters, I make a dozen chanters at a time.
Aye.
And aye. I don't want to be doing chanters every day all day.
No.
Practice chanters, I'll spend 2 days making a batch of practice chanters. I'll spend 2 days making a batch of blowpipes, and I spend...
What do you make a practice chanters? So you just...
Same stuff, I think.
Aye, but You've never...
Acetal.
Have you tried the met or the various...
Oh, I've tried all the different kind of plastics and wood. And we've been down all these plants. All these experiments finish up in the bucket. And
the Art Deco, eh?
Because you've just got to give the punters what they want to pay for.
Aye.
If you don't,
well, that's it. And you can only charge what the market will bear as well. That's the other thing.
I mean, the market, I know there is other makers that make things a lot quicker than me with CNC machines.
Aye.
But I can make a living selling at the same price as they do, as long as I'm selling it to the end user.
Yeah. Aye.
If I'm not giving them 33%,
so you're missing out the third party.
If I can miss the guy in the middle,
Aye.
and I just sell it through my website, I can make a living.
That's fine.
And that's all Ben and I want to do, just make a living.
That's the great thing about websites now. It's instant communication, and you don't need a shop to sell stuff.
Well, there's people come here that think they've seen my website. It's quite a good website. They think it's some big factory or other, you know.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Can I come around your factory?
But it's so you get sufficient communication with your public. You can give them all the information and more on the website, and you'll give me your website, and we'll type that on to the end of this interview.
Very good.
Okay. Brian, we're just back from the factory, and the nice wee turn round there, and that was very interesting. And as an omission, you'd mentioned earlier about the pipes, the tuning with the screw and the drones. Describe that better for me and tell me about them, please.
Well, as I've said, I used to have great troubles tuning my pipes. I had to grip the bass drone stock and tune with my left hand and various things, which it wasn't very successful. It wasn't too much trouble at home, but when you're nervous at the games, it just wasn't panning out. So I was doing a job for Big Ronnie Laurie. Big Ronnie was always looking to get wee experiments done, and he wanted various different sizes of stocks. So I finished up making adjustable stocks, and I discovered that you could fine-tune the drones just with screwing or unscrewing the stocks. So I made a set of them, and they weren't really very successful because they were a bit wobbly. Then I decided, well, all you're really doing with a set of drones is you're lengthening the length of the drone. So I come up with a wee idea where you screw where the mount is at the bottom, and you're lengthening and shortening the length of the bottom joint. And it works a treat. It means I don't have to take my arm off the bag. I don't have to tune my left hand. I can tune the same way as everybody else now. So that gave me, at the time where I was wanting to stop competing because I was having trouble tuning, it's gave me another 15 years more or less of being able to tune pipes. And there's lots of people that look at you, and they say, well, what's he doing? And then you say, I've got a gammy arm. Yeah. Well, what's that got to do with it? And he says, well, I can't tune the way you tune, so I've come up with this idea. So, and it works a treat for me. I've 2 or 3 sets like it, and I'll never look back.
So, let me get this right. Tuning of drones has got nothing to do with what's happening above the pin. Cavity there.
Well, it must have something to do with it.
Aye, but you're not altering the length of that cavity, up or down. The way I would imagine it, what you're actually doing is lengthening or shortening the distance between the top of the drone and the drone seat, the drone reed seat.
The drone reed stays exactly
your overall length, if you like, But so, and you find that successful then?
You want me to do a wee demonstration?
Who knows, just for a laugh. Come on, get through it. That's excellent, Brian. That's a very good demonstration, putting them in tune, out of tune, and all this. It shows you how simple the whole thing is, and it's gone well, you know.
Going well for me. You want to see this other wee gadget?
Aye.
Watch this. That's what you can do for
A minute. Right, go.
This is what you do when you've got a skin bag. You see, and you can't get into it with a zip. You put it like that. Screw the stock in. Get your filter in there.
Okay.
And that comes off. Put a new one on for the next day.
That's for the stock there.
It gives you moisture control, saves you putting anything inside the bag.
And that's just a normal big screw in the
Just a stock,
plastic.
it's a special stock that you
Yep.
get lengthened a wee bit.
Okay.
Which lets you use a sheepskin bag and you can put moisture control into it without, you don't need to open it up.
Fantastic. What do you call that moisture control system?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Is that a fairly new
It's
innovation?
new, it's relatively new. I got Jim Begg to tie in a set of stocks into a sheepskin bag, and it was, because I'm a very wet blower, and if it works for me, if I can use this play these for a whole day without any...
And you take the filter out and dry it on top there?
Just take those, you get 2 or 3 of those wee cassettes to plug in.
Aye.
It's just silica gel crystals, you can dry them.
Aye, just dry them out the way...
It works for me. I'll use it for a year and then I'll see if I can make them commercially.
Aye.
That's the problem, making things commercially.
I suppose.
You're talking about 3 stocks. I mean, at the minute, they'd be too expensive to put in the market.
And your plastic stocks, does that affect, in your estimation, your drone sound or anything like that? No.
I mean, I will say this. See if you've got the Roddy McLeod bagpipe or the Stuart Little bagpipe, it might make a wee difference if you've got an ear like this. But I can't see any difference.
For the 90% of the rest is...
99% of us plenty fine for me, you know.
Aye, exactly. Aye. And really, we tend to forget the 90% guys that are just playing pipes and enjoying playing them, and
what an easy life.
Aye, but they want a reasonable bagpipe, but they're not looking for gold medal standard sort of thing, you know. And they'll never aspire to that because we're not able to blow the tone the way these guys can and all the rest of it, you know. That's terrific. So the rest of that bagpipe, that's
the rest
made
of
by...
The rest of it's wood. Just the stalks that are plastic.
And did you make the whole bagpipe then?
Yes. I'll show you this, since you've got it for the camera. That's how that extends. All you're doing when you're turning that, you're just lengthening the bottom joint.
I see that.
You get about 1/4 inch of movement in the bottom joint. And it comes in like that.
I see that now. Yep. Fantastic.
And that's that.
So, and you're not altering the drones on the slides at all?
Well, you put it approximately where you want to go, then you can go.
Aye. So, what you're talking about is fine tuning, but you've got your approximate tuning sorted where your position of the drone tops on the slides, this, that, the next thing, and then it's just a fine tuning with the other thing.
Most pipes are not going to move much more than 3 or 4 millimetres in a day's blown. When they start getting wet, then they go up the way for about 1/2 inch, but under normal circumstances, they're only going to move 3 or 4 millimetres.
Well, let's face it, most of us are on playing pipes for 20 minutes or half an hour or something.
Even going to a band competition, I've been playing with the College of Piping Band. You go to a competition and you don't really play for half an hour.
You shouldn't be playing for any longer than that.
20 minutes tuning up, well, footering about. You're not actually blowing for more than 20 minutes, and you run for your 8 minutes.
Any guy that's a pipe major and blowing for longer than half an hour is really putting the whole thing at jeopardy. And I know some of the top first grade bands are indulging in that sort of practice, but they're walking in a very fine edge because it can be right over the
They're
top.
always looking for that wee bit
But
extra.
apart from anything else, pipers get tired. And they get dehydrated and they get crabbit and everything else. And it just get. But they leave their best to display on the park, the tuning field. Thanks very much, Brian. That was excellent. Very informative and educational. And I'm sure the guys in Hawaii and all these other places all love it. Joburg,
There might be more pipers in Hawaii than you know about.
Aye, all the best to you.
Thanks very much.